Hello everybody, this is Lara at soon to be Pure Elliott Wave. This is my last week on Elliott Wave Gold and Elliott Wave Stock Market. On Saturday morning at 10 AM we launch pureelliottwave.com. That's exciting. I'm going to have a look at another one that you guys on the YouTube channel suggested fit my description of a good opportunity. I'm going to look at TRON today and do a wave count on this, and then we'll look at some classic technical analysis. The first thing I note on an arithmetic scale is this market fits my expectation of a good investment opportunity because it's had this ability previously here to form exponential growth. It's got this huge spike and then a huge crash. Didn't make a lower low, so this wave count's going to be a little bit easier. Someone very rightly pointed out that the last one I did was Miyota. I did this last week with you, and here this is a lower low than the start, so I have to make an assumption that off to the left of the chart we can start the wave count there, and I don't really like that assumption. You're right, that is a problem. This one's going to be a lot better. Let's chuck some labels in here. We'll start at cycle degree because this has been going on for a few years now, and obviously the format of this video is going to be the watch me as I create a wave count. So this is a learn to do Elliott wave, and at the conclusion I'm going to decide if I want to invest some money into this. I decided that I wanted to put some money into Miyota, and I've been trying to, but my exchange is having problems with that at the moment, but as soon as they've got that resolved I will be. I'm going to change this to semi-log. That's better, isn't it? Let's have a quick look at this first big wave up and see, does it look like a 5? Yeah, it does. Let's get our 0 in the right place. 1/10 of a cent. Didn't really start out very well, did it? Yeah, okay, good. No overlap there. Not sure about the structure of 2 though. That would be having a truncation. Oh, I looked at some. Oh, the person will remain nameless, but I did look at someone else's YouTube channel with the wave counts for Bitcoin and Ethereum, and if you see big truncations and you see running flats, just don't waste your time. They're just not that common. Truncations. I've got one on my Bitcoin count. Let's have a look. I was trying to work out his wave count there. Yeah, I've got a little truncation here. It's come in the appropriate context of a truncation though. This fifth wave comes after a really strong third wave. This is really strong downward movement. After that, you might expect to see a truncation. And this here, that's quite small. But if I was to label this A, B, C as a zigzag complete here with a truncated C wave, it's not in the right context. It hasn't come after really strong upward movement, and the truncation's actually quite large. So that's what I mean by be careful of truncations, and if you're seeing work with a lot of truncations, maybe don't waste your time on it. I think I'm going to put A here, and B might have been an expanded flat. So cycle 1 looks okay as a 5. I could go down to the daily chart level. We're working on a weekly chart here, and look at putting it here and the structure of primary 3, or putting it here and was it a combination, hence a sideways move. I wouldn't want to label it A, B, C because C would have a truncation. Although in that context, this primary 1 could be considered too far too fast, like a really strong upward movement, pulling C up with it, but I don't think so. So I could spend some time doing that, but I think we'd rather spend some time looking at what we think, or what I think it's going to do next. So I'm just going to real quick look at this. Oh, this looks pretty good. X looks like a zigzag, and A looks like a pretty good 5-wave impulse. Nope, let's pull that down here, and this here. No, not sure about C. Is this some kind of ending diagonal? Could be. Now I'm checking the wavelengths. First of all, I want to put 4 there. This would be a contracting diagonal. 3, is that shorter than 1? No, it's longer. And 5, okay, 3 is longer than 1, 5 is longer than 3, but 4 is shorter than 2. That can't be a diagonal. I think maybe B was some kind of combination, possibly over here. or here. I want to make it, or I could see have started here as a diagonal with one. No, B has to be over here because that's the low. This is just not going to work for C. I don't want to see A as any other structure though. Could it have been? No, I want to put this here. Oh, that looks like a zigzag. And this here, and then this. No, that's not going to work. It has to be a diagonal, but I think B has to be over here. And it's a combination. I think I'd want to put X there, but then if we see Y, no, C is truncated, so no. That means that B is a double zigzag, but the Y wave hasn't deepened the correction, and that's its purpose. That's what it should do. It's not a triangle. I don't want to label it as a double zigzag. It meets the rules, but it doesn't meet what it should be doing. Oh, how annoying. I want to put a combination in here. I think I'm going to leave that. I'm not happy with that part of the wave count. I think I need to spend more time on that possibly, but not right now, or this video is going to be 8 years long. That looks really good. B looks like a good looking flat correction. A regular flat or an expanded flat, depending on the length of B. I'd have to calculate that, but I don't want to spend time on that because it doesn't matter, because it meets the rules and it looks good. What about this? Okay, so if we have a 1, 2, and now a 1, 2, the question is primary 2 over? Oh, I don't think so, because look at this. Okay, this looks like a 5. And this looks like a 3. Yeah, that looks really good. And B looks like, is it a zigzag or a flat? I think minor B is less than 90% length of A. Let's calculate that real quick to figure out what kind of flat this may be, or is it a zigzag? It's 0.898, so it's less than 90%, so it has to be a zigzag, so we have to see if minor A subdivides as a 5. It's kind of academic at this point. Let's do a daily chart for this now. Okay, great. Let's look at some detail here. I think B might have been a flat correction. Where does 4 end here? Or here? I think it ends here. And it's 5 some kind of ending diagonal. That doesn't look for it. Oh no, 4's a triangle. There we go. That looks pretty good actually. Oh, D. Oh, I don't know. Is the BD trend line essentially flat? That doesn't look good at all. Okay, technically it could be considered to meet Elliott wave rules. For a barrier triangle, this is the only this is the only Elliott wave rule that's not absolute. For a barrier triangle, the rule for D and B is D should end about the same level as B, so that the BD trend line looks essentially flat to the eye. This looks like it's got a little bit of a downward slope. That'll be because it has, and the AC trend line doesn't really have much slope, so no, that's not a triangle. I wonder if this market just doesn't have enough volume for good looking Elliott wave structures. I mean, some of its waves look pretty good. Like this 2 here looks like a pretty good zigzag, and A, if we have it over here, is there an overlap? Looks like a good impulse. 4, no overlap, that looks really good. B looks like a little flat correction. That looks good. 3 here. And now I'm going to put 1 and 2 up here, and I'm going to do that because, as I explained in my last video, particularly third waves, they have this curved look to it. If we had hourly data, and we don't because I've got Yahoo Finance's data for this analysis, if we had data for the hourly chart, we could probably see a third and fourth wave in here. I'm really used to third waves, particularly a third wave within a third wave, having that curved look to it. So I'm okay with that. Typical of commodities and cryptocurrencies. What's going on with this fourth wave though? Let's try a combination. Oh yeah, okay. Hang on, 82891, 0844. I don't want to label this as a zigzag. See, a lot of people would do this. I'm not going to accept that truncation. For us to accept a truncation here, it would have had to have come after a move that went up too far, too fast, a really strong upward move, and A is absolutely not that. So I'm going to label this as a quick little zigzag. For W, X, I'm going to label over here. And then Y, but then we've got a double zigzag. Okay, here C has moved below A, so X is fine. But Y, it doubles as W is a zigzag and Y is a zigzag, but Y hasn't deepened the correction. This is the second time I've found this problem on this market here. A second, and if there is one, a third zigzag and a multiple zigzag. The purpose is to deepen the correction. So for multiple zigzags, they should have a slope, not be a sideways movement. But this looks sideways. Okay, I'm going to try something else here. Let's put 4 up here as a quick little zigzag, and let's try 5 as an ending diagonal. Doesn't work because 3 is the shortest. So that doesn't work. What is this? It looks like a triangle, but it just doesn't work. Nope, you can't do that there. Putting D there, I don't like that either. I don't like that AC trend line. And then it just doesn't work. Okay, well, I'll do some more work on that later, but I can't get that part of the wave count to work. Well, I mean, I can label it a double zigzag, and it'll meet rules, but it doesn't look right. And I'm not happy with that. This would be a 3-wave movement. I don't like that. Okay, what if we have... No, okay, now here's another trick. A, B, C. If I put B over here as a triangle, I'm not saying this is the right wave count, but I'm just going to show you something to look out for. Okay, now that looks like a pretty good triangle, yeah? But part of B moves beyond the start of A, which means minor B is a flat correction. If part of B moves beyond the start of A, then at its terminus, at its end, it has to retrace a minimum of 90%, and I don't think it does here, so let's, the length of B to A it's only 78%, so that would be invalid. So no, that can't be. That's wrong, which means that's where B ends and this is where C begins. So minor B is a flat. What am I going to put this here? Has seen extended third wave. Oh yeah, this is going to look good. This part fits really well. The third wave within the third wave within the third wave is extended. That's good. I didn't want to leave the one down here because looking at this green candlestick, this would have been a zigzag. That would have been really hard to see it as a 5. So that is a really good fit. Come back to that 4 later. okay with that 3. I don't want to spend time on primary 1. Okay, let's have a look at, the question is it going to keep going up? And to answer that question, let's look at the length of A and C. Let's see if we can see a Fibonacci ratio. So A is it's longer than 1.618. It's just a bit under 2.618. So let's get a target. 0.1058. Let's put that in there. Target for intermediate B to end. I think 4 decimal places is enough. And that's where C would reach 2.618, the length of A, because it's already past 1.618, the length of A. So if you wanted to see primary 2 over here, you could say A, B, C, but C would be truncated, and I don't like. I would be happy with a truncation after a move like this, a really strong move, but this isn't so strong. This is the end of it. And let's bring MACD in and have a look at the momentum. Yeah, the momentum here is weaker than here. So after here, I could handle a truncation, but after here, I couldn't handle a truncation. So I don't want to label primary wave 2 over at this low because its C wave would be truncated. And from this high to this low, this does look like a pretty good 5, despite the problem I'm having with figuring out what structure minor 4 was. I'll keep working on that later, and I'll post a chart in the comments underneath this on my website if I figure that one out. For now, I'm just wondering if Tron has enough volume for good-looking Elliott wave structures. I don't know. Let's take a look at classic analysis for it. I'm just having a look at more recent movement right now on the daily chart. Before I would invest anything in this one, I would, or maybe after, if I see what I want to see in this chart, I would go back and look at its entire price history, probably on a weekly chart, and have a look at how it behaves with ADX and RSI particularly, and also have a look and see how much strength it has off previous lows after big spikes and then big falls of price. At the moment, it looks like there could be a double bottom down here, and both of them have bullish engulfing candlestick patterns. This first one, though, very importantly, does not have support from volume. Even the following day here did have support from volume. This is the volume bar for this candlestick. This bullish engulfing candlestick pattern, we cannot have confidence in it because it does not have support from volume. But this one does. Here is this downward session here, which has a little push from volume, but then the upward session, the engulfing pattern, definitely has support from volume. And so that's good to see. So that suggests this could be a sustainable low. And we are starting to see strength off these lows. We're starting to see stronger volume in upward days, although for the last few days overall it has been declining. There's previous resistance. I looked off to the left of the chart to look at major highs and lows and draw horizontal lines across as many of them as I can, and I see some pretty good resistance at 1 cent just above. So let's look and see how it behaves there. No signals from on-balance volume. ADX is now very extreme, but I need to look, and looking here, it looks like it can remain very extreme and possibly get over 50, maybe over 60 or 70. I need to look back at its price history with ADX to see how this particular one behaves. But right now it's very extreme, and RSI is pretty deeply overbought. Again, I need to look off to the left of the chart to see how long these extreme conditions can be sustained. However, with both of these being very extreme, and price reaching resistance, and volume declining, and ATR showing a little bit of an increase, but for most of this rise being relatively weak, I'd be suspicious that we're getting to at least a short-term swing high, if not a high as my Elliott wave count expects, the end of a B wave and the start of a C wave. I can't make a firm conclusion on that. Let's have a quick look back at Tron's price history, and let's see if we can do that together now. I'm going to have a look I want to look at it on a weekly chart. And let's have a look at more data. Let's look at, say, 3 years and a bit. How does ADX behave? Here it got to over 70. RSI didn't get so overbought though. But here RSI gets quite deeply overbought, nearly up to 90. It doesn't exhibit bearish divergence, while does it at this little high here? Yeah, it does. Just on the very last week, between this week and this week, we've got this tiny little bearish divergence here, but none here. Dips into overbought here. With this peak, we see a pullback. And this major high here, I want to look back a little bit further. Let's look at 3 years, 8 months. Okay, now it can get really extreme. Goodness, ADX can get over 80, RSI can get extremely overbought. Okay, so current conditions don't warrant necessarily the call for a high in place here, because this can behave in a very extreme manner. I'll look to how it behaves at 1 cent. If it can break above that, then next resistance would be back up here, which would be about 17 cents. But at the end of the day, it's so cheap. It just almost doesn't matter. If I'm just going to throw $100 or $200 at this and let it sit for a couple of years, or maybe 5 years, 7 years, I don't know, a few years. It just doesn't actually matter if it's at 1 cent or 10 cents. Well, it's a tenfold difference, I know, but if it's going to go crazy and get into hundreds or thousands, it doesn't matter too much. I'm not too concerned, and I've got a few others to buffer everything as well. So okay, that's the end of my video today. Not the best, I'm sorry. I hope this is helpful and you've learned something. If I do make a purchase after a little bit more analysis of Tron, I will be advising my membership and comments, because that's part of my CMT ethics guidelines. If I see an opportunity I want to take advantage of, I must notify my paying clients and give them enough time to take that opportunity before I execute my own purchase. I'm launching our new website on Saturday the 10th of August at 10 AM, and for the first 24 hours only I'll be offering my weekly analysis of Bitcoin, S&P 500, gold and oil for only $40 a month. After that it's going to increase, so that would be a 33% discount on the final price. If you want to take advantage of that, go over to pureelliottwave.com and register your interest just by giving us your email address, and after the website's launched I'll delete that list of emails because I hate spam. Okay, thanks.